Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Slasher Report and happy October 1st. It is the month for Michael Myers, and I feel like we're going to get a lot of information during this time for Halloween the Game. We have some more exciting news to go over with Halloween the Game. They just tweeted more information with another new article in regards to the stalking ability, which this answers a lot of our questions from the previous video when we dived deep into the details of the shape jump ability. So now we have details on the stalking ability. We're going to dive into it right now. But first, before we do, I want to show off a new clip that Halloween made a tweet about, and it is Michael Myers and his first person stalk ability. Let's check it out. Alright, let's dive into the new article for the stealth ability. Stealth, stalking, and scares. Read how Alphonic leverages gameplay to capture the classic feeling of Halloween. Effectively conveying a constant sense of terror in the interactive world of Haddonfield is no small feature, and the team at Alphonic strive to do this timeless classic justice in Halloween. The original film secured its place in horror history by thrusting viewers into an anxiety-driven nightmare where the formidable Michael Myers slinks in and out of the shadows. Nearly 50 years later, the team aims to recreate that unforgettable feeling of dread through thoughtful game design. When it comes to embodying evil as Michael Myers, Halloween's gameplay principles lead with looming stalking stealth. Michael must leverage darkness to maneuver the environments of Haddonfield undetected, not only to evade his adversaries, but to accomplish his murderous objectives. Utilizing abilities like shape jump and first-person perspective stalking, players get to immerse themselves in a role of one of horror's most legendary figures and unleash bloodshed upon the small Illinois town. Stealth isn't only important for Michael either. The heroes of Haddonfield must remain careful and quiet while attempting to rescue their neighbors from the boogeyman's sinister embrace. Generating excessive noise, being reckless with a flashlight, or even carelessly escorting residents could force players into an unwanted encounter with Michael. Balancing stealth was a fundamental factor when crafting this immersive horror experience, and the team carefully considered how elements like shadows, color grading, ambience, map layouts, and player POV would impact moment-to-moment gameplay. Jordan, design director at Alphonic, said, "A multi-perspective approach to stealth helped us build an entirely new flow of mechanics between characters. Michael uses it to expertly stalk his victims while staying out of sight, and the victims use it to avoid the shape's terrifying presence. Regardless of which side you're on, you'll quickly learn how to best use these systems to your advantage." By creating situations where match escalation naturally ratchets up and disconcerting stealth gives way to moments of frantic action and fear, the team provides a satisfying cadence to Halloween that aims to capture the essence of the 1978 film. Matches begin slow, cautious, and methodical, but as the gravity of the situation unfolds and more residents of Haddonfield join the fray, the energy accumulates into an haunting climax and an inevitable face-off with the shape. The team believes this organic progression will empower players to control the tension of each match and deliver satisfying horror movies finales time and time again. Jordan goes on to share, "We understood quickly that the foundations of the gameplay needed to revolve around the progression of power and tension to match the movie. The actions of players, especially Michael, becoming the driving force of terror throughout each match as intensity grows." Alright, so let's just dive into what all was said there. So we get a little bit of information with the stalk ability. Stealth is a key factor for both survivors and playing as Myers. The biggest thing that is said in the article here is the first person perspective stalking. So we did see in the previous videos and stuff that we covered is Michael being the first person view when he's stalking some of these NPCs. And we kind of figured that out, that hey, I think there's gonna be a first person mechanic here using the stalking ability. And sure enough, it is now fact that we are having that ability. Now, it still doesn't really give out details of what's the purpose for stalking. And that's something that we were kind of going over and discussing in the previous video, is what would that factor be when it comes to using that first person stalking ability? Would it be a build up meter to use for your shape jump mechanic, or would it be used for something else? Definitely leave a comment down below on your thoughts on what that could be. But it's really interesting to see some of the other mechanics being played out here that comes into factor. Is the heroes of Haddonfield must remain careful and quiet while attempting to rescue their neighbors from the boogeyman's sinister embrace. So if you generate some excessive noise, being reckless with a flashlight, which is pretty interesting to read that, or even carelessly escorting residents, could force players into an unwanted encounter with Michael. So I guess if you're playing as Michael Myers and they make too much noise and stuff, I would assume there would be like an aura shown of the location of that survivor, perhaps, and maybe a sound cue or something. And when that happens, do you shift into that shape jump ability and head on over there in that location and wait for the time and moment to unshift and go for the kill? That's what I'm thinking. So that's interesting that you can't just like run around and do whatever like Friday the 13th. You have to be careful. It's very stealth on both sides as killer and survivor. You have to be careful with not making too much noise. And I guess it says being reckless with the flashlight, so I assume you can't just run around with the flashlight on all the time. Then maybe you have to be careful and choose when to use the flashlight. So that's pretty interesting right there. And the even carelessly escorting residents could force players into an unwanted encounter with Michael. So carelessly escorting residents, I would assume it would be sprinting. So you don't want to be running the whole time to a safe zone or the police part of the map with the residents. You have to cautiously walk with the residents to get to where you need to be. I would assume that's the case, which makes sense because you don't want to be just running the whole time, rushing through. It seems like you have more time within the map or match to get everything properly done. Now here's something interesting that was said in the article here from Jordan, the design director at Alphonic. Said that Michael uses it to expertly stalk his victims while staying out of sight, and the victims use it to avoid the shape's terrifying presence. Now, is this in regards to, like, even for the victim side, is this in regards to his first person point of view stalking ability? Like when he goes into this role, is he staying out of sight? Are you technically in that shape jump ability per se, where when you're stalking, you're not seen, and if so, not seen to the NPCs as well as the players who play as the heroes, because it says the victims use it to avoid the shape's terrifying presence. So I assume when you're in that first person view and you're just super focused on that one NPC or something using the stalk ability, you don't, there's the auras, everything becomes invisible, perhaps with all the heroes, and vice versa. They can't see you once you're in that, you just disappear, I assume. The NPC can't see you either, but you can see the NPC, the one that you're focused on. That's what it kind of sounds like. I could be completely wrong on that, but the way that's worded, that's what it sounds like. So that's really interesting to read that without giving much detail on that, because I'm very curious now on what exactly that means by that. Maybe we're diving a little bit too much into it with a tinfoil hat, but it is something to carefully point out, and hopefully we'll get more details on that. And I think with this month of October, we're going to get a lot of good, juicy info on this game, which is where I'm really excited for that. But that's about it. Let me know what y'all think in regards to the stalk ability and the shape jump ability. We covered that yesterday. And it seems that there are some music and sound cues when you're both shape jumping and doing the stalk ability. Now, I don't know if that's just for the sake of the video clips that they're giving us, that they're providing us with, or if that's an actual like part of the mechanic where you get to hear the, you know, the Halloween music tone when you cue into these abilities, the stalk ability and the shape jump ability. Let me know what you think on that. If you like that, if you don't like that, don't forget to slash a like and leave a comment on your thoughts on everything that we're going over with this Halloween, the game. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss on any news with Halloween, the game, and anything horror in general with video games and movie content. We'll be going over Scream 7 as well. There should be a trailer coming out very soon, as well as Fort Nightmares. There is a lot of really good juicy content coming to that as well. And keep your eyes peeled for another video. We'll be going over the comparisons that we gathered with details of both the shape jump ability and the stalk ability. We'll be going over both of those in detail with another video, breaking them down and theorizing with the tinfoil hats. And until next time,
keep your doors locked and leave the lights on. This is the Slasher Report, and I bid you farewell.